Welcome to Desert Hot Springs.
All right, let's get to my 96 slides in 4 hours. Why are you laughing, Doria? No, I'm joking. We'll get you out of here in no time. I was elected mayor in November of 2015. And in early 16, I decided to do a State of the City. And it was a nice event put on by the Chamber of Commerce at the time that we had. And it was big. There was a lot of people, a lot of pomp and circumstance. And I thought, you know what? When it comes down to it for the next few years while I was elected, I'm going to do town halls. So I went out and did a bunch of town halls. And I went to the people of Desert Hot Springs. But when I was reelected, the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce, who we've partnered with here today and really put this event on, and I can't say it, let's give them a big hand because this is fantastic. After our chamber folded, they came in this last year and said, let's partner together and let's get your name back out there and let's do a State of the City again. So we've opened it back up. I thank all of you for coming and supporting us. We do have free seats over here for people that just wanted to attend and not have to pay for lunch. So it's about our community, but it's also bringing the business people from the Coachella Valley up here to see what we have to offer in Desert Hot Springs. So we're going to start. I always like to start with a quote. The greatest leaders is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. And that was a quote from Ronald Reagan, who's one of my favorites. And I've really taken this to heart, and I brought this on and put it on my email tag, and I've used it out throughout the last 3+ years as mayor of Desert Hot Springs. And you're going to find out today, during my presentation, I have some of the greatest people working around me, from my city council, who's here today, to the staff that our city has to make these things the great, and the partnerships that we have. Today, I want to introduce my city council to you real quick because this just isn't about me. I'm here representing the city council of Desert Hot Springs, the work that they put together, the priorities that they put together, and this is about us as a team. We don't always agree, as a lot of people know. Not every city council or board's going to, but it's about a team and it's about moving forward. And we've found a way in the last 3 years in my leadership as mayor to be able to work together, debate professionally, and to make the best outcomes for Desert Hot Springs. So today I have Mayor Pro Tem Jan Pai, Council Member Russell Betts, our newest member of the City Council, just elected, Council Member Gary Gardner. And with short timers here, Annie Zavala. I want to say a couple words about her first. Annie Zavala grew up here in Desert Hot Springs, went to school here in Desert Hot Springs, graduated from Desert Hot Springs High School, went off to college, graduated, and came back to Desert Hot Springs to serve her community. Unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, it's actually a great thing. She's been accepted to law school. And so she's going to be resigning from the City Council on July 2nd because there's no way you're going to be able to do law school and be on the City Council in Desert Hot Springs. But I guarantee there's bigger and brighter future for her, and she will be back to serve this community again after finishing her law degree. But give her a hand, please. So with that note, we're looking for a new council member. The city council is taking applications. If you're interested, you have to live in the city limits, okay? All right, with that said, the first slide that I always like to show in my town halls and talk about is our financial stability. A lot of people have a lot of these questions. What is going on with your city? Are you financially stable? Back in 2011-12, we were going through the same process. A lot of cities were in the state of California where we were wondering if we were going to make it out or end up in bankruptcy. There was $400 in the bank at one time. Since then, what we've done is stabilize our city council by putting together a biannual budget every 2 years. We have a rolling 7-year forecast, so we're always looking each year, or twice a year, we get an update from our financial consultant on where we're going over the next 7 years. So if we need to make adjustments in advance, we can do that and not be caught off guard one day. We did have our public safety tax, which was renewal. Most of it goes into our police department, which is about $5 million, which was important last year. And then we started a 3-year capital improvement plan, a CIP plan of $19 million that we're going to be doing in our community, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. 25% of our marijuana money that we get from taxes goes into our reserves to make sure that we stay healthy. Over the last few years, we've hired 22 positions in Desert Hot Springs to accommodate the development, our public safety services and others. And what that basically, that next slide says is at the end of this fiscal year, we're looking at having about $10 million in the bank, which is much better than $400. And at one point, when we were trying to bond out for certain projects, I think Linda, our finance director, was having a heart attack at one point because we had no rating to bond out. And over her leadership and others in our city, over time, we now have an A+ rating and are able to bond out if we need it. With that, that leads me into Ms. Kelly. Ms. Kelly, I don't want to embarrass you, but I'm going to ask you to come up here. Linda Kelly, this is going to be a shock to some people, has spent 23 years in Desert Hot Springs. She's, I believe you've always been in the finance department some way, somehow.
That's true.
And she's served our community well, but she's leaving us in less than a week, right? You're done?
Yep.
Oh, that's why she's smiling. So she's going to go off and finally retire in the city of Desert Hot Springs. And we want to recognize Linda for her service of 23 years and give her something from the city council, from my office, and from our staff saying thank you for your service. You can hang it on the wall as you're laying in your pool and laugh at it every day and go, I made it through. But thank you so much for your service.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Public safety. This is one of the big discussions always. When you actually go out and you do a survey in your community, what's the first thing people want? They want a safe city. They want to make sure fire department's going to show up. They want to make sure code enforcement's going to be there. And they want to make sure animal control is taken care of. So we're going to go through a few of these slides real quick. Over the last 3 years, since 2015-16, our crime has been lowered 33% in Desert Hot Springs because of the men and women that serve our police department. And I want to give them a big hand for what they've done. We are fully funded at 33 positions. Our police department participates in the Public Safety Academy at Desert Hot Springs High School, helping, I call them boys and girls, but they're becoming men and women, to decide on careers in public safety. We also have an Explorer program. We're going to be announcing soon that we're bringing our K-9 program back. And we have 1 motor officer on the street. We'll have 2 on the street very soon. And that's very important. I like to talk about that little part down there that says Police Department Weekly Update. So each week our staff gives us an update to City Council. And in that update, this was May 9th through 16th, which is 1 week. Our police department handled 1,166 calls for service, 99 reports, 31 arrests, 36 traffic citations, and 4 jaywalking citations. That was how busy they were in 1 week. So you can imagine what they do in a month and a year here in Desert Hot Springs. And again, that's to make this city safe and lower crime, as I stated at the beginning, 33% over the last 3 years. Our fire department is something close to my heart. As mentioned in my bio there, I spent 20 years as a volunteer fireman in this city. I wanted to be a firefighter when I grow up, but I took a different path. And so with that said, that first fire station that you see up there, station number 1, which is Riverside County Station 37, was built as a temporary station in 1977, and it's still standing today. Barely, but it's still standing. We have to renovate stations. We have to add stations. We did add one in the housing boom in the early 2000s in the Skyborn, which is west of our city. And then recently we put 2 signs up, proposed fire stations. Now, I don't want this to get out of control on social media as it can. We have 2 lots here in Desert Hot Springs that we own. And we put 2 signs up, proposed stations, because we want to do public input. But a lot of people don't realize that when you do grant funding, what happens is that you have to have a plan on the shelf. You can't just walk in and say, I want a fire station. Well, where's your proposal? I don't know. You have to propose locations. You have to build plans for it. And that's what we're going to do so the city of Desert Hot Springs can go out. We need 4 fire stations in our community. If you look at the call volume from Station 1, Station 37, it's over 5,000 a year. It runs some of the busiest calls volumes in Riverside County for one fire engine station. So what we want to do is make sure we add two more fire stations in the city of Desert Hot Springs in the next few years. It's very important to our build out and for our economic development to make sure that our city is safe. Animal control, I'd love to talk about this. We brought animal control back in-house about almost 2 years ago. And with that, down at our city yard at Hacienda and Choya, you can go down there and get your licensing and do all that for your dogs and cats. And if you're ever missing any animals, you can check there. But we have a fantastic opportunity with our animal control. We have a website that we participate in, Patango, And actually, each of our animals get a picture when they're intaked, and they go on this website. So, and it rotates. It just doesn't show a few pictures on there. They continue to rotate through that, and you can see the animals that are looking for adoption or missing their families. And then it also has hours of operations on there. So we're really proud about bringing this back to our community. Our code enforcement, they did a fantastic job. We have, I believe, 3 in that department, and they're doing a fantastic job. What I highlighted there was, again, a weekly update. Our biggest hurdle in code compliance is that the fact when they close, I can't read that far, my glasses aren't that great, but I believe they closed 72 calls, but they opened 55. So it's always a balancing act, but they've done a fantastic job. Whoops, I'm going to go back real quick. On the right hand of the screen there, we have an app in Desert Hot Springs that we developed many years ago, and if you're a business owner or a resident, you can download this app through your Play Store on your Android or your iPhone, and it's called My Desert Hot Springs. And actually what happens is you can report anonymously if you don't want to put your name in there, and it goes directly to the proper departments, code enforcement, graffiti removal, trash, whatever it is, and those will be handled. And if you've ever used it before, you've taken a picture of our graffiti in our town, it's usually covered within a couple hours. Sometimes it might take up to 24, but it won't be more than that. That's how fantastic this app is. It goes to the right people and takes care of the issues that you have. So if you have a lot that you see trash on, take a picture of it and send it through that app, and it'll be cleaned up before you know it. Our code compliance department's always out picking up stuff, and this is what baffles me, and Chris from Desert Valley Disposal here is one of our partners. We always shake our head when we talk. All you gotta do is call Desert Valley Disposal. They'll come pick up your trash. You don't have to dump it in the desert. You don't have to dump it on the street. You don't have to go find a commercial bin to put it in. Just call Desert Valley Disposal. They'll pick it up. This is our code compliance. They found this lot in Desert Hot Springs, and this is what happened after they took care of it. This is another before and after also. Knuckleheads will do things they shouldn't do, but we'll take care of it. With that, we call this Big Bird. This is Desert Valley Disposal. We partnered with them a couple years ago, and we spend, I believe it's $250,000 each year to make sure that extra trash is picked up. So those knuckleheads that like to dump trash anywhere, all you gotta do is call. We get a hold of Desert Valley Disposal. They'll drive up to those lots. They'll pick this up. They drive around our towns, I believe, 5 days a week, and they're always picking up trash for us just to make sure our city looks clean. Development in Desert Hot Springs. So one of the things that we needed to do for our developers in Desert Hot Springs was build a new website to begin with, so we did that last year. And this year, in our community development department, we're going to be putting together viewpoint upgrades, which is basically what you can as developers put your project in and now see it at real time. Is that right, Rebecca? Rebecca Deming is our community development director, and she's working on this to make sure that we can streamline the process in community development. So we want to make sure that you as a developer don't have to always come to City Hall, don't always have to wait for an appointment, that you can actually see in real time where your project is and how it's going. You can make your payments. And basically our new City Hall, which we'll unveil here in a few minutes, is going to be a one-stop shop for you. When you walk in, you'll be able to get the business that you need to get done quickly and be able to streamline what is necessary. One of the big projects in Desert Hot Springs is a 402 condominium, 42 building project. Here in Desert Hot Springs, Marabella Villa. It's located on Palm Drive, just across from Vista, Montana, and it's actually in plan check now. One of the other big projects is Watermark Homes. I wanted to say, I don't know if John, if you're here today, but John Pavlov, he came into my office the other day, and one of the things that they're trying to do here in Desert Hot Springs is to continue to build homes. He's been one of the more successful home builders here in Desert Hot Springs. He built out Mountain Gate here in Desert Hot Springs, and what he's trying to do now is pick up small developments. He wants to develop 475 homes here in Desert Hot Springs. This is his first project that he's going to be working on here. This is up at the north end of the city, Rolling Hills, and he's building, I believe, 16 homes up in this area there. And so this is important for Desert Hot Springs because we're a bedroom community. Basically, we need homes. We need people to live here. This is what we want, and we want to build beautiful homes, and he does that for us. Another big project that we're looking forward to is in the process of their specific plan amendment. This is the Walton Group, not Walmart. This is a Walton Group. We get that all the time. And they're at the corner of Pearson and Miracle Hill on the east side of the city. right where it curves off there, and they've got a planned development of 1,800 homes. It was 2,000, they've narrowed it down to 1,800 homes, took out the golf course, and they're building more open space. And so they're actually getting ready to do their specific plan amendment and go through the commissions and councils here real soon. So our staff just returned from International Conference of Shopping Centers. So I don't know how many of you know about this, but it's one of the largest retail commercial opportunities in the country. It's hosted in Las Vegas each year at the convention center. It takes up that whole convention center. Our staff, if you look at this display over here, was behind us. We had our own booth there. You'll see it here in a minute. I want to thank our staff for going up there. They've got some great projects coming because of this, but this is where you meet the people and be able to tell them about your city, your projects. And so we're really thrilled about what will come out of this in the future. Grocery outlet, they purchased a piece of property just south of the Pizza Hut on Palm Drive, Kmart Shopping Center, that area there. They were approved by the city council 2 city councils meetings ago, and they're now in grading plan and building plans and submitting all that, and we should see construction hopefully very soon on that lot here in Desert Hot Springs. Desert Hot Springs did an economic development study probably about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it showed that the city of Desert Hot Springs could have 4 more grocery stores. $22 million is spent in grocery services across the valley by Desert Hot Springs residents, because a lot of us work outside the city limits. They have over 8,000 people leaving this community every day to work in hospitality, retail, and other services in the Coachella Valley. And so a lot of times it's easier just to stop in the city that you're at and shop. So we have to produce more opportunities in retail services here in Desert Hot Springs so they spend that money here. Visitor serving, just up the street here on Palm and 8th Street, the first lot that the first big bathhouse was ever built in Desert Hot Springs in, I believe, the 50s was Coffee Spa. It's not there anymore. It's just a lot, but we had a group buy it recently, and they're going to build a Best Western Plus on it. They're in negotiations right now with us on how this is going to happen, but this is the renderings for it. It's a 3-story Best Western Plus. This is the inside. It'll have a pool, grotto area, and a day use. So it's very important to us, Desert Hot Springs, because it produces tax revenue, visitor serving tax revenue, which they call TOT, and that goes straight to our general fund. So it's very important to us to continue to support projects like this, and this is an exciting one for us. Another project is the Agua Soleil Hotel on the way out of town here on Palm Drive. Just past the Kmart Shopping Center, Vaughn Shopping Center is Agua Soleil Hotel. In the back there was, when it was first built in the 80s, was a project that you could bring your RV in and basically stay there as an RVer, and a lot of snowbirds came down here during the season. They would stay there. They've re-energized that, and what they've done is they've made it into sort of like a glamping area. They've put in some Airstreams, and they're going to have some pools, and you're going to be able to use the hotel services along with renting one of those cool Airstreams. So they've started doing that recently. Can I get my water there? Thanks. Visitor serving, which is really important too. Thank you. This is my wife, Victoria. Give her a hand for putting up with me. She's the one that keeps everything flowing. So visitor serving is so important to us here in Desert Hot Springs, and this is the reason why. Is we have some of the best hot water in the country, if not the world. A lot of places you can go to and you capture the hot water by the earthquake faults, and what happens is you get a lot of sulfur smell. We don't here. We have some of the highest mineral counts in the world. We have some of the best small boutique hotels in the world, and we have Two Bunch Palms, which is very famous to the Los Angeles crowd. In 2015-16, we took in $1.5 million, and you can see the growth over that, and projected this year in 18-19 is $2.2 million in tax revenue from our hoteliers. And this is a partnership that we've got to continue to do. So some of the hoteliers, especially the small boutique ones, have wanted to move to cannabis use within the hotels to make it safe for people that wanted to use cannabis use. So we're having a strategic plan put together, and we're working through that today. And with that, we partnered with some organizations such as the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce to help with our visitor center that we're going to hopefully unveil later this year, bring back our visitor center. And we're partnering with the Desert Hot Springs Hoteliers Association, who has revamped itself. These are important partners to our city because, again, they bring in those tax revenues for us. So the new president, Robert Griffith, who's, I'm not sure if you're here today, Robert, he is actually helping revamp this. Gary Gardner, one of our newest council members, is a liaison to the Hoteliers Association, and we're trying to revamp what they're doing here in Desert Hot Springs. So partnerships, again, with the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce for our visitor center. And I want to introduce MJ Tours here today. We have 2 members of the organization here today. They have a big bus out there, and one of the things we wanted to produce was if you go to wine country in Temecula, you can take a wine tour or a brewery tour. If you go to other cities, they have wine breweries, all these other tours, and these guys are going to produce a tour into our cannabis industry. So we're really excited about that. And with the partners, with these types of partners in Desert Hot Springs, one of the things that we've been missing for the last couple of years is the spa tour. We created the spa tour many years ago. It's one of the most successful tours here in Desert Hot Springs, and working with Gary Gardner and the association here and these partners that we talked about, we're going to bring that back to Desert Hot Springs. A few of the staff members and myself were asked to come back to Washington, D.C. About a month ago, and we were asked to talk about the SAFE Act, which is about the marijuana business. I'll get into in a little bit, but we took an opportunity. A lot of people don't realize that when President Obama was elected or was in office, he flew over the Coachella Valley many times as he came here to golf and relax. But one of the last times that he flew over the Coachella Valley, he designated 154,000 acres of land as the Sand to Snow Monument, which is literally in our backyard. We have a very busy highway next to our city, Highway 62, which about 2.5 million visitors go by us every year to Joshua Tree to visit. And what this does for Desert Hot Springs is there's Mission Creek Preserve. If you're a hiker, you'll know this. If you're not a hiker, you won't know this. But if you have a chance, it's an easy hike. You should hike into Mission Creek Preserve. It's a beautiful view. On a clear day, you can see the Salton Sea. That's how beautiful it is. And with that, we have proposed to be a gateway to the Sand to Snow Monument. We have proposed to build a visitor center, which we have a developer working with us now on that. And so while we're back in Washington, D.C., we met with the acting director of BLM and proposed this to him. He was very interested in it. We also met with the minority and the majority Natural Resources Committee in Washington, D.C. And for the first time in history, I think this was ever said in a meeting, it might take an act of Congress. But with that, we're not afraid to go after the Republicans and the Democrats and ask them for support, which we did. And we're going to continue to work down there. Annie Zaval, I know, is one of her passions as a city council member is to make sure people can hike and get into that preserve and make sure that we're recognized for the Sand to Snow. So working with Gary Gardner, the association, I see Scott White here from the Coachella, from the Visitors Bureau. I know that we have a lot of opportunity here to make this happen in the future in Desert Hot Springs, and this would be a benefit to the whole Coachella Valley if we stopped 10, 20, 25% of those visitors to utilize the services here in the Coachella Valley before going hiking in Joshua Tree and see what we have to offer here in the Coachella Valley. So this is a beginning of a long process, but we're going to get there. The cannabis update. In Desert Hot Springs, we have large-scale cultivation dispensaries approved 78. In construction, permitting process right now, we have 18. In construction are 12, and operational are 21 operations right now. Over the next 2 years, we'll see about 51 projects. We have some of the biggest names in the industry, as you can see up there. Desert Hot Springs is fantastically set up for an industry like this. If you ever looked before at Desert Hot Springs, there was no reason to come here because you didn't need to come north of the freeway. You could drive through the rest of the Coachella Valley by getting off at Highway 111. Now we have reason for people to come up here to tour our industry, to make business happen, and to produce tax revenue for our citizens. One of the great projects it's actually on Interstate 10, but you access it in between Indian Canyon and Palm Drive off of Varner, is the Tyson Ranch. And a lot of you have heard about this this project, but this is an overall view of it. To the top of the screen there, to the middle of the screen there is Interstate 10. To the top of the screen there is Desert Hot Springs. The bottom of the screen is Palm Springs. They have bought both sides of the freeway, and they're going to start their project in Desert Hot Springs, and they're going to be submitting plans, if everything goes well, in about 2 weeks into Desert Hot Springs for their first phase. And what does that mean for Desert Hot Springs? This means that the first phase is a glamping type of development. They're going to have 150 luxury bungalows, Airstreams, those types of things with a lazy river running through the project. A large pool, a large guest area with about 12 luxury suites in it. This is some of the renderings of the project. These renderings were finished about 6 months ago, and now they're going to our development department to pull plans and start grading. This is becoming a reality for Desert Hot Springs, and this is going to be definitely a signature project for us. The Kind Music Festival was started on this project. It was kind of a kickoff to this project this year in February. We had 5,500 attendees. They had 2 minor incidents through the whole event. They were all pretty mellow. That's how you run an event. This is a statement that Tyson Ranch put out this week. Tyson Ranch is beginning the site improvements in the very near future. They're submitted their grading plan and improvement plan to the Community Development Department for their site and the construction of Varner Road from Palm Drive. They're in the final stages of announcing an October public sale consumption event, and on the site, followed by a March date for a 2-day festival. This is fantastic for Desert Hot Springs. These guys have been nothing but partners. It didn't cost us one dime. It didn't cost taxpayers one dime. They paid for every little bit of it. They continue to do that. They've been great partners, and we're excited about this project here in Desert Hot Springs. Capital investment. This is one of the most important things to you with your taxpayers, is that they want to see their money, their taxes going to something in their community. And that was where we were stalled for so long. When I became mayor, we sat down and we started talking to the city council, the prior city council and the current city council, and said, let's set some priorities. Let's look what's important. Our public works department, our community development department, these are some of the projects that they have on tap for this year to either start or finish or get some grant funding for. But these are fantastic projects in our community. Now, the general plan is very important for a city to run on. And what happened was that our city was delayed a little bit, as a lot of cities were when the financial crisis was going through. And one of the delays was our housing element. Our community development directors recently caught us up on all our paperwork with our housing development, our housing element, and the city council has approved it, and it's going through comment period by HCD right now, and we'll be in compliance with our housing element by, I believe, October of this year. Now, this photo was taken out of context a little bit. You put it on Facebook and you get trial by Facebook. Half of them loved the fact that I shook the governor's hand. The other ones wanted me to go wash my hand. But when you're a public official for your community, you don't pick sides on partisan politics. What you do is when the governor calls you out in the state of the city, you go and you stand up for your city and you tell them that that's not correct. The governor of the state of California, in his State of the State, called out 47 cities that weren't in compliance with the housing element and wanted to bulk them all into one as he sued the city of Long Beach. We didn't think that was fair, and some of the organizations put some pressure on him to actually sit down and talk to him. I want to say thank you to the governor for doing that. Out of the 47 cities, 17 mayors showed up to this meeting in Long Beach. We sat down and we talked to the governor face to face, and it was an actual great conversation. Every city has a different story. One city couldn't get their housing element done because the voters wouldn't approve it, even though they had tried twice. Our city was in financial crisis. The governor has a proposal to build a lot of houses in this state over the next few years. It's a pretty ambitious plan. But we're here to support it and do what we can. I know Russell Betts has worked really hard at the SCAG level to bring down those numbers that are forcing our city to be higher than other cities. But we're going to try our best. And when the governor came around and shook every mayor's hand, as you kind of see, I'm looking over and Chuck's taking a picture of me. He's like, ha, I got you. But it was a great opportunity for us to talk to the governor and say, this is what our city's about to do. And when we sat down, he says, I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to sue these cities. It looks like you're doing what you need to do. But when I propose my budget this year, make sure you get what you can out of that budget, because I'm going to propose a lot of housing money to help your developers. So we're going to do that. Road project in Desert Hot Springs. We've been talking about this one, the active transportation project. This is very important to a lot of our residents, is safe roads. The Palm Drive became a raceway. We lost lives on Palm Drive. We couldn't have that anymore. Our two councils ago, when I first became mayor, set that priority to make sure that these roads were safe, and that was our top priority. We started to put together plans, and with the help from the Coachella Valley Association of Governments and other partners, we actually were able to apply for state funding and receive over $3 million in state funding in our first try. And I wanted to thank our Community Development Department, Public Works Department for all the work they did on that. Give them a hand, because this is all their work. If you came up Palm Drive today, you'll see a new stoplight going in. That's where this project begins, at Camino Aventura. There's a brand new stoplight there. It wasn't in the initial plan. The reason for is that, unfortunately, a life had to be taken, and that mother wanted to make sure that the city council knew that that intersection needed to be safe again. She and her friends in that community out there asked for the city council to come together, and so myself and Ms. Zavala went down to their community, sat with them, talked with them, and out of that meeting we brought back that they needed a stoplight, they needed crosswalks. We brought it back to our city council, and each one of the city council didn't hesitate once, and we took a couple $100,000 and we proposed, and we built a stoplight there, which will actually be lit tomorrow. And that's good government. That's what government's supposed to do for you. A lot of people don't realize that we're elected officials. We're sitting up here and we're representing them. A lot of times you're just a politician and they want to see their money put somewhere, and they're going to. With this $3 million grant, we're going to be able to put in new street lights to make that street brighter. We put in sidewalks on both sides of the street so it's safe to walk. There's street lights going up. There's new bicycle lanes going in. And with that said, there'll be beacons on the bus stop so you know that the people could be on the sides of the street or crossing the streets in those areas. And it's going to become one of the safest cities, or one of the safest streets in the Coachella Valley. We put up a safety corridor sign on the encouragement from the family that lost their loved one there. And this is what Desert Hot Springs is doing. In the same breath, we're actually working to find more grants, and with that, we were awarded another $1.3 million in Cycle 4 this year, and that'll come to fruition in about 2 to 3 years as we build Hacienda from West Drive to Foxdale and make that safe also. The Coachella Valley Association of Governments, a lot of people don't realize when you take the money that you get for transportation, it comes from the state or the federal government. It funnels down through the Riverside County Transportation Commission. Each county has a transportation commission. And then we've done something different here in Riverside County. We've segregated the Coachella Valley from the rest of the commission by taking 25% of that money and bringing it right straight to the Coachella Valley. Coachella Valley Association of Governments said we need to help some of these cities that are having problems with fatalities in bicyclists and pedestrians and make it safer for them. So they gave up to $2 million in grant funding, and they awarded Desert Hot Springs 2 years ago with $2 million in grant funding. So along Palm Drive from Pearson to Hacienda, we'll be adding a stoplight, again, more lighting, safety, sidewalks, bicycle lanes, and another stoplight just outside here in the corner, Cholla and Pearson Boulevard, where you came in at, to make it safe for the kids to cross. So that project will start later, hopefully this year. And then we just finished another sidewalk project up Desert View to Cabot Yerkes Elementary School, full sidewalks and a new roadway there to make it safe for the kids here in Desert Hot Springs to walk to school. When Chuck Maynard was hired as our city manager a couple years ago, he said, what's some of the major problems here? And it's image of Desert Hot Springs. Unless you come up here, you don't see it, that the change is happening, crime is down, things are looking great. And our hotelier said to me about 5 or 6 years ago, we don't bring people in on Palm Drive because it's just not attractive. We bring them on the outskirts. So Chuck took that to heart, and he started to change the image by working with a local consultant and a PR firm and changing our image with signage, medians that are lit up, all over the city. Those are brand new. And if you came in on Palm Drive and I-10, right there when you get off where the Jack in the Box and the AM/PM is, this is the concept that's happening right now. Brand new entryway into Desert Hot Springs. Construction's begun, and it should finish here soon, and it'll be lit up, and it's going to be a beautiful entry into Desert Hot Springs. One of the partners that we partner with is, again, the Coachella Valley Association of Governments on the transportation. I brought the executive director, Tom Kirk, I think he's in the back over here, out when I first became mayor and said, let's take a ride around town. And we looked at Indian Canyon, which is another major thoroughfare into our city, and we said, what can we do to fix this? It was, my father loved to go to dinner every night and always send me a text, driving down Indian, can't read anything because it's bumpy everywhere. It was falling apart. So we went out and we talked about it. There's 3 agencies along Indian Canyon, the City of Desert Hot Springs, City of Palm Springs, and the County of Riverside. We partnered with the County of Riverside to take the lead on this. They're developing a plan for Indian Canyon. This is the phase, they're doing 2 phases. They have to move some poles. They're going to widen it to 4 lanes. They're going to build a stoplight at the corner of Dillon and Indian Canyon. And they started with resurfacing some of the road. They're going to come in and start the next phase here. I believe this construction starts this month and ends in July, will be the first phase, and the second phase will actually be a reconstruction of the intersection of Dillon and Indian Canyon, which will be finished by next summer. Again, partnering with these agencies to make it happen in Desert Hot Springs, to make it a safer route and a quicker route into our city. Cannabis Museum, if you haven't taken the history of Desert Hot Springs, you should take a tour. It's very inexpensive, it's a couple bucks, and you can get the full history of Desert Hot Springs, right? And with that said, we built a brand new office for them to be able to, they were in this tiny little office, and we built this brand new office for them, but you have to go to Cannabis Museum grounds and take a tour and see what Desert Hot Springs is really about and how much history it does have. We gave back again this year to our parks. We found quite a bit of funding this year to actually redo our parks, 2 of our parks, playgrounds, and this is just pictures of our brand new playgrounds at 2 of our parks here in Desert Hot Springs to make it safer for our kids who love to entertain themselves in our parks. We're going to build a new park at the corner of 12th Street and Palm Drive. This is something that's important to us. We have to continue to build parks. We're really understaffed when it comes to parks in our city. So this is the first park proposed, the Desert Hot Springs. This is the second park that we're actually working engineering and plans off right now. This is the city yard. We're going to take it and move it a little bit to the west, and we're going to add a full-size baseball field. Right now our Little League has 2 small fields, but they don't have a field for the juniors, which is the upper division they have to play at the high school. We're going to build a field for them. Junior All-American football has done a fantastic job in our community. We're going to build them a football field and be able to give back to our community, our youth in our community. When you have over 10,000 youth in your community, you got to find things for them to do, and this is one of the things we're going to do. We hope to be able to find the funding for this park in the next 2 years and have it built. Park, the Veterans Park. This is one of our signatures here in Desert Hot Springs. Each Memorial Day and each Veterans Day, we have a ceremony there. So this Monday, if you're not doing anything, at 9:30 a.m. at the Veterans Park on the corner of Mission Lakes Boulevard and Palm Drive, you may come out for it's a short event. It's about 30 minutes long. But I'd like to introduce today a Purple Heart Vietnam vet, Eddie Johnson, who's here with us today, and I'd like to have him bring him up for a minute. Now, Eddie is the caretaker of our Veterans Park, and he is actually raising money today for this new memorial to be put at the park. It's going to cost us about $50,000. So if you'd like to donate, Eddie has, you can speak with him afterwards, but we're going to be raising money to build this in the next year or so here at Desert Hot Springs to honor our veterans from Vietnam. But Eddie's been a great partner to our community, and he's here to present something to somebody that's not expecting it, and I love to embarrass people, so I'm going to let him take over.
Thank you. Yes, there's somebody in this town that's been very, very respectful towards me, gives me a lot of respect, and he's helped me, back me up, and support me in honoring my veterans. And this person is Charles Maynard. Could you come up, please? I asked him for a 4-foot step ladder so I could see him in the eyes and count him, but I don't know if he's going to give it to me. Charles, you've always supported me in everything I do at Veterans Park, and it's really an honor to know you. You've improved this town. Like I say, you're helping my park. And I'd like to present you the silver mug. This is in regard to thank you for your support, like I say, and honoring me. And I figured it was the best way to do it right here and embarrass you. Thank you, sir. Open it up to the table. Thank you, Mayor.
So Eddie came in my office about a month ago and said, can you get me in his office? They won't let me in his office. He's so busy. Just get me in there. I want to give him this. I said, no, I got a better place. Because Chuck loves the limelight, right? Well, but he got him a big enough mug so he can handle the Desert Hot Springs City Council at night. He can go home and fill that mug up with whatever choices he chooses to. Not a lot of people realize that a city manager has 5 bosses, and we are in his office quite a bit. So with that, I just wanted to again say thank you to Chuck for what he's done and what he's accomplished as the city manager of Desert Hot Springs. Again, talking about partnerships, we have a real problem in Desert Hot Springs when the flood zones on the Whitewater Wash flood out, or the sand, as it is now, decides to accumulate on Indian Canyon. We've talked a lot with Tom Kirk at the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, and he's helped the county put together this opportunity for us to study that area in there and see if it could save us. Right now in the transportation plan, it's about $500 million in bridges that would have to be built over Indian Canyon and Palm and Gene Autry to be able to get you over there. Again, we have over 8,000 residents leaving this community every day to work somewhere else. A lot of them work in the city of Palm Springs, and the only route to the only trauma center here in the Coachella Valley is on the fastest route is Indian Canyon. And this road, obviously, especially with the rains this year, has been closed a lot more than we want to participate. So working with partnership with the city of Palm Springs, the county of Riverside, and the Coachella Valley Association of Governments, we came up with a plan. Gary Gardner, who talked a lot with Lisa Middleton in Palm Springs, talked about these signs being put up, not these large ones that you see on the freeway, but something else. A lot of our residents are driving down Palm Drive or Indian Canyon not knowing if the road's closed until they get there. So if we could actually put these video boards up and be able to notify residents of those before they get on the road, they'd be able to take alternative routes. Also study that area so that we can try to keep the sand off that road and keep that road open. It's not just about my residents, it's about the Coachella Valley accessing the only trauma center here in the Coachella Valley. We have great hospitals here, but again, if it's a trauma, it needs to go to Desert Regional. We need to get that street open. So the partnership, again, look forward in the future of what we want to accomplish there. I want to say thank you to our County Supervisor Perez. He couldn't be here tonight. They have a big youth thing going on today, but a lot of his staff is here. Thank you for your support of our community. I wanted to thank him. I met with myself and the city manager, met him 2 weeks ago and talked about a lot of the issues in our community. And if you didn't hear 2 weeks ago at the chamber or the supervisors meeting at the county, they approved the new library for the city of Desert Hot Springs, 15,000 square feet. Our current library is about 2,000 square feet. It's been the same library since I used it in the 70s, and it hasn't grown any. And so John Benoit, the late John Benoit, started the efforts, and unfortunately he lost his life to cancer, and he moved, and with that he did move the needle a little bit when it came to this project. Mary and Ashley helped donate the land where this project will go on, so I wanted to recognize them for what they did. But really the effort was continued by our current supervisor, who did a fantastic job on making sure that this was done. We're getting 15,000 square feet, which might not be a lot to a lot of people, but if you look at the city of Menifee, which also got approved, which is 3 times the amount of residents in their city, they only got 20,000 square feet. So this was a great effort by our county supervisor to make sure that we get what we need in our community, and we do have a lot of people using our library system, so we're excited here. And this is kind of the corner of Park Lane and Palm Drive where it'll go and what the rendering looks like. This is the exciting piece for us. In the city of Desert Hot Springs, about 12 years ago, the city was bursting out of the current police station, which they were sharing police services and administrative services there. They decided to put in some construction trailers, and they were going to be temporary for a couple years while we found land to build a city hall. The economy went bad. We all know the story. 12 years later, the city's still in these trailers, basically, and they're bursting out. It was going to cost us over $1 million to renovate them. City manager started looking at some sites. He found the current, if you look at the corner of Palm and Pearson, there's a current building there. It used to be our visitor center. We use that for administrative services right now. And then we found out during the roll down of the redevelopment agency that we were able to use some of the land for government use, which is directly to the north of that. We're going to build a 13,000 square foot new city hall here in Desert Hot Springs. It's going to cost us about $5.7 million, which is well under what most city halls this cost. We had a little bit of a story to this, so we decided to go to bid on this. And when it first came out, the city council said, let's build it for about $5 million. We were reassured by the firm that was handling it at the time that we could do it. They came in with construction bids at 7.8. That was too much. So with that said, City Council went back, had the city manager go back with a new firm. There's all the services you need, again, one stop right there in the city of Desert Hot Springs. And we're going to take a minute and show you a video of it. People come to visit our city and go to our community development department. It's not the most attractive thing right now. There's only a few people that can usually fit in the lobby. It's so small. And when it's 120 degrees out, the last thing you want to do is shove a brand new developer out into the warm weather there. So this is exciting for us. It was a creative way to, our financial consultants came up with to fund this. We went out for bonds to reorganize some of our bonds, to refinance some of our bonds, and we were able to lower our payments on our bonds, take out $3 million, put it in the bank to help cover the interest on these future payments. So basically the no interest will be paid, it'll be paid through other ways that we invest our money here in Desert Hot Springs. That's being responsible with the finances of our community. It's making sure that we're not overspending when it comes to what a city hall could be. It's not a Taj Mahal, but it's much more respectable than it is today, and our staff will hopefully feel a lot more comfortable than they do today. So we're excited about this. Desert Hot Springs has always been about community. I grew up here. It's always been about the community volunteers. We have quite a few volunteers in this room today that help volunteer, that sit on our commissions, that help make Desert Hot Springs a better place. I was actually able to take this picture. My wife and I, we coach a little league team here at Desert Hot Springs, and these are our girls. But the Solani Family Foundation helped with Desert Hot Springs by becoming a partner and giving $5,000. We have an organization here in Desert Hot Springs called Advancing Desert Hot Springs that Gary Gardner and a couple community members put together not too long ago. And they're making good posts on social media about Desert Hot Springs every day and highlighting the people of our city. Our Rotary Club puts on a Big Heart Award every year to give Big Heart Awards to those individuals in our city that do great work. We are opening our pool, I believe, this weekend, and we'll have free movies, free dive-in movies. I think the first one's Wreck-It Ralph, and it's this weekend. And you can go sit in the pool and watch a movie, and we have very, very high rates to get into our pool when it's not free. It's 25 cents. Our city council proposed it. I believe Mr. Betts and Mr. McKee, when he was on the last city council, proposed to make sure that those rates were stayed low for our citizens in Desert Hot Springs. A lot of our people are working families, lower income, and they need to find ways to be able to do things in the city. And so being able to use our pool services, I think for a family of four, it costs $1 to get in to use the pool here in Desert Hot Springs and facilities. So it's pretty awesome for us. The Kind Music Festival came to our community and didn't charge our general fund one dime out of it. They paid for everything. Our Senior Inspiration this year, which is an award that's given to each community, put on and hosted by our county supervisor, Larry Buchanan, who's a chair of our Public Safety Commission. And then you saw our color guard here today. That's the Marine Corps Junior ROTC program here in Desert Hot Springs High School. They have anywhere from 100 to 180 kids involved in that program per year. They have a award-winning, which you see there. I'm gonna mess it up. It's not the color guard, it's the drill team. And they're actually taking a trip back to Florida to participate this year and in the competition. And because of the Coachella Valley and the generosity from a lot of people such as Jessup Auto, they donate the money for these kids to travel, and they represent our city in the Coachella Valley very well. In Desert Hot Springs, this is an award-winning program. Education is really important to the city of Desert Hot Springs. We know that the median income in the city of Desert Hot Springs is $34,000. If you can get a BA or a master, if you get a BA, you can double your income. That's a proven fact. If you can get a master's degree, you can triple your income. Bo Celli is the founder of Study.com. It's a working scholars, civic scholars program. Another city in Riverside County was using this program when we saw it. We called them up and we said we want to do it. So what this does is that we're giving back to our employees here in Desert Hot Springs. Anyone that wants to get their education free can do it through the city of Desert Hot Springs. It's online, at your own pace, and you can use your phone, you can use your pad, you can use your computer, and you do it at your own pace. We have 25 employees going through this program right now here in Desert Hot Springs, and we're gonna get them the degrees that they want here in Desert Hot Springs. So excited about that. City manager and I were talking the other day, and this is something that we want to bring forward to our city council. We want to take some of our funding next year, and we want to present scholarships to our community. We want to build the awareness in our community and give back to our community. We want our community to get educated when they want to. There'll be some stipulations. Obviously, they must live in the community to utilize this program, and this is something the city council will discuss. Close your ears because it's going to become an agenda item, guys. But it'll be something we discuss and how much we give and how many scholarships we give. But if we give back to our community, they stay here in our community, they can buy homes in our community, they can give back to their community, and this is what it's about, again, community. So we're excited about this. Now, I lied to you, I wasn't going to go 4 hours. So with that, I do have some final thoughts here in Desert Hot Springs. Definition of potential is having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. And I run across people, for the last 12 years I've been in city council, the last 3 years I've been the mayor, that continue to say Desert Hot Springs has so much potential. I'm sorry to say we've gone past potential. There's no need for that word to be used anymore. We are making things happen here in Desert Hot Springs. We are making a future for our community. It's peaks and valleys. It's not just one hill to climb, and that's what a lot of people think, is that you're climbing that hill and you almost get to the top and you roll down. No, that's not true. It's peaks and valleys. We get to one peak, we might end up in a valley for a little bit, but we head for that next peak. We have about 1% of the population that actually participates all the time. And I encourage you, if you're watching this on Facebook, or if you're here, or you want to tell a friend of yours, get involved in Desert Hot Springs. It's a great place to be involved. The same 1% always seems to show up and always seems to do about 90% of the work. We need to make that 2%, 3% of the people in our community working towards a better community, because there's great opportunity here to continue to do that. Last week I attended for, I have to have a real job. My wife and I both do, because the mayor isn't a real job. It doesn't pay. It just get to go up there and do a gavel and lead a meeting and those types of things. But it's a great volunteer job. I love it with my heart. But I have to work a real job. And so with that said, our company that we work for has a conference, and this year was in Atlanta. And they had a speaker, a motivational speaker. His name was Manly Feinberg. Anybody ever see him speak? If you haven't seen him speak, you should look him up. He was fantastic. He's a rope climber. He's a rock climber. Those sheer faces of rocks. He's climbed those all over the world. So he goes out and he does motivational speaking. He was the CEO of Build-A-Bear. You guys remember that shop? It was $45 million when he took it over, and when he left there, it was $455 million they were making. So he left there, he started climbing mountains, and so he used a lot of metaphorical, inspirational opportunity to talk to us at this conference. And if you know rock climbing, you know that you work with a partner, and someone puts in the hardware in the rocks, and they get you all secure, and then someone yells, "Belay on," which is you can now move. And so motivatively, he said a lot of times that you've got to have that partner. And we have those partners in Desert Hot Springs. I have those partners on the city council. Sometimes, Russell, we want to, give a little more slack than we should, make sure we fall a little bit, right? But with that said, we continue to have the partners that we need in Desert Hot Springs to make a better life for our residents. So we belay on as we continue to move up that hill. But he also said that you need to celebrate your summits. Desert Hot Springs, we haven't been able to do that a lot, but recently we have. And one of those summits we're going to build a city hall. And another summit is we put new roads in and made it safer for our residents. And I can go on with a list that's longer than my arm today of what's been done in the last few years because of the current staff and city council that we have. We've reached the summit in some ways, but when Manly was speaking, he said, he took his son and daughter and wife on a trip, and their very first trip, when he got to the summit of that mountain, his son looks off in the distance and goes, "Dad, when can we do that mountain?" And he pointed off in the distance. And that's what we've got to continue to do in Desert Hot Springs, is look at that next hill to climb, that next summit to get to, because we will. And that's what it's truly about in Desert Hot Springs. Thank you for attending. On behalf of the Desert Hot Springs City Council, this is our State of the City.